I'll tell you a story. I don't know how many of you have seen this on CNN Headline News. I had exactly this debate on Dr. Drew's show a few months ago. It was about 3 months ago. And it was I think, the #1 story on Facebook and Twitter for about 3 days. Because this is why they don't have me on CNN that often. They were talking about Caitlyn Jenner. And the question of the day was why Caitlyn Jenner should or should not receive the ESPN Courage Award. Because, as we all know, the courage to have a boob job, make millions of dollars off of it, have a mental illness that's exploited by television cameras is exactly the same as the courage it took for men to get off boats at the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. I mean, courage is courage, guys. So they had me on this. They had me on this show, and they decided that they were going to seat me directly next to a transgender woman, meaning a man who is delusional and thinks he's a woman. And so I'm sitting next to this dude whose name is Zoe Tur. His former name is Bob Tur. And he's sitting next to me, and this topic comes up. And what I said, they were going around discussing whether or not Caitlyn Jenner was courageous or not courageous. And finally, I just said, I don't understand why we're all humoring mass delusion. Why is the public humoring a delusion? It's not kind to the mentally ill. It's terrible for the mentally ill. As somebody whose grandfather was schizophrenic, it would have been really, really quite terrible if the entire society had said to him, you know what, Nate, you're totally right. The radio is talking to you, right? It wouldn't have been beneficial to him. It was much more beneficial to him that he was institutionalized, given lithium, and then healed, basically, and was able to live a decent life. The idea that transgender surgery accomplishes anything for people who are quote-unquote transgender is nonsense. The suicide rates are precisely the same before and after the surgery, and they are both in excess of 40%, which is unbelievably high. The idea that society is responsible for transgender suicide is absolute garbage. It is not true. Okay, the fact is that even they've done polls of this. There was a poll from the Anderson School at UCLA, and they found that even transgender people who say they're not questioned about being transgendered, they have exactly the same rate of suicidality, meaning that this is a mental illness, because that rate of suicidality is so far beyond anything that has ever been experienced in any population of humans ever. Seriously, the only comparable rate of suicide to the transgender community today is Jews living under Nazi German rule. That is the only time in human history that there has been that rate of suicide. So I promise you, transgenders are not being treated like Jews under Nazi German rule, so it clearly is not societal impact that is making people suicidal. What's making people suicidal is that this is a mental illness, and it is barbaric to suggest that a man can become a woman and a woman can become a man with a snip of the knife. It's horrifying, and it is mutilation, and it is brutal. And the people who are pushing this have no sympathy for the people who are actually suffering from it. They're forwarding mental illness. They're forwarding mental illness to kids because they want to teach this to children now. And this is one where you're on. I mean, these people. It is unbelievable to me that the left suggests that we're the party of anti-science. Okay, they are the party of vaccines are bad and men can magically become women through some magic man-to-woman machine. Right? It's such utter nonsense. Every cell of Caitlyn Jenner's body has a Y chromosome, except ironically for his sperm cells. Right? So the idea that these are women is just it's utter tripe. And I have to say I am enjoying a little bit how the transgender movement is destroying feminism. That's kind of fun, because the feminists have always argued that men and women are inherently different. Right? Men and women are inherent, and women have a beautiful, unique thing to bring to the world. And then, of course, they say a bunch of other crap. But that's the part what they say is true. And now they're saying, but transgenderism says that men and women are exactly the same and can randomly shift. It's weird to hear Hillary Clinton, for example, say, Caitlyn Jenner is a beautiful, lovely woman, and then in the same sentence say, and we need a woman president. It's like, well, that's kind of weird. Why? If men and women are exactly the same, then why do we need a woman president? Right? Men and women are exactly the same. So if Barack Obama, without any changes to himself, but if Obama really wanted to jack her in this election, he would do that. He'd come out 2 days before the election and he'd say, I'm the first woman president. Right? And change nothing about himself, right? Because transgenderism suggests you don't have to make physical changes, you don't have to change your dress, you don't have to change anything. Right? If you just decide one day that if Charles Bronson one day decided to saunter on in, take off his gun belt, and mosey on in and sashay on in to the ladies' restroom for a little sitsy on the toilet, then he